We are live.
All right.
Welcome back with Abuamerican. He said, Sweet man said, drum roll. Yeah, I'm back here. I'm with the guest, Stirling Cooper. Now, Stirling Cooper, I met him through a mutual friend. I don't know if he wants me to mention his name here. So I'll just say, I met him through a mutual friend. And
he doesn't want his name, his real name mentioned, sir.
There you go. So he never told me that, but I was just like, yeah. So anyway, told me good things about him that you got insight to the world and whatever else. And I actually don't know much about you,
All right,
Mr. Cooper. So let's probably best off to start there.
Cool.
What do you do?
Well, there's a good reason why you probably don't know me. It's because I'm somewhat haram.
Uh-oh.
To your friends, your followers. I am what is commonly known as a porn star.
Okay.
I work in the adult entertainment industry. I've been working as a performer in that industry for the last 3 years now. I have traveled the world doing this job. I started out in Australia, and then I worked my way into the industry in the UK, and then I worked my way into the industry in mainland Europe, and then I made my way out here to America, where I currently reside and work in Los Angeles.
Okay.
In the last 8 months, I basically decided to put together all the knowledge that I had accumulated through my experience in the industry, along with the lessons I learned from more seasoned veterans in my industry, and sort of to teach the average guy, I guess, ways to improve their sexual health, their sexual performance, their their physicality, testosterone, these kind of things. I took all the lessons I learned in our industry and I sort of packaged them up to give them to the average man to help his life.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
So, okay. I guess I got a joke. I guess you say you do the on camera harami salami dance. Okay, so that's interesting. So the adult entertainment industry, and then you basically extrapolated your experiences into like a product that guys can actually use in their lives to improve themselves.
Yeah. So basically, all the little tips and tricks and techniques that we use behind the camera, but for both up here and and down here as well.
Physically also.
Yeah, I've turned it on like a manual, which I now sell to guys, and then through guys like Rollo Tomasi and Rich Cooper and a few of the other red pill guys. Like I got red pilled by reading Rollo Tomasi's book, which our mutual friend introduced me to, actually.
Okay.
And so basically, I come at all of this from a red pill perspective, from a game perspective as well. If your viewers are familiar with those terms.
I am. I was actually I'm trying to tweet that we're on together, and I don't know if I follow you on Twitter. Actually,
I actually don't think. I know I definitely follow you.
Okay,
I definitely follow you. Well, so if you tweet it out, I'll give it a retweet.
Well, yeah, I'm gonna have to fix that at the end of this show. Okay, yeah, no, I've actually been on with Rollo. I was on Rollo. I don't know if you saw that episode. Red Pill Religion.
I did see that.
Okay. Nice. That's crazy. Our mutual friend, I almost slipped up there. He told me about your show, but I don't have a life right now, so I haven't had an opportunity to watch it. I haven't got to watch anyone's show in like, I don't know, months maybe. And so it's been a roller coaster. But I do want to watch that really badly. So tell me about like these tips and tricks and everything. How does it's kind of like I'm how to word this? When you're in the adult industry, it's kind of like, in a sense, the hoo-ha is laid out to you. It's just sort of like, there you go, smash this, homie. So how do you extrapolate that out to, without giving out any of your premium content, how do you extrapolate that out to the rest of the world?
To the average guy. So it's not, here's a common misconception that people have with working in my industry, right?
Mm-hmm.
They assume that all the women are default nymphomaniacs.
Okay.
which is not the case. Very often not the case, right? It's a porn set is a lot more robotic and like professional than you would imagine. It's not like going to a party where everyone's like, don't get me wrong, it's a very fun vibe. It's not like you're working an office job. It's not like a cubicle or anything, right? But it's a lot more. Okay, we're gonna shoot this. We're gonna shoot this. We're gonna shoot this. Here's the lines. We're gonna set the cameras up. There's a lot more steps involved. A lot more clinical than you might think. So chemistry, right? It's not an environment that's super conducive to chemistry, shall we say, right? So you've got to kind of find ways to either build chemistry with your co-star in a very quick, short space of time, because most of the day the girl I'm working with, she's in a makeup chair for like a couple of hours, then she's like off doing her own like solo photos with the director, and then she might have some scenes to do where I'm not in it, and then we're running lines, and then we're shooting, and then bang, we're down to the action part, shall we say, right? So I've got to be ready to go on command when the camera's ready, right? Everything depends upon me.
No pressure.
No pressure, right? And that's why not everyone can do this job, right? Every dude thinks, oh, I would love to do that job. It would be so easy. It'd be the greatest thing in the world. Don't get me wrong, it's a fantastic job. I love it. I wouldn't trade it for anything at all. But not every guy can do this. There has to be a certain level of like, you can't give many fucks, shall we say, about really anything, about being watched, about the fact that you've got like a director and a camera and a lighting guy and a sound guy and a PA all sitting around wanting to go home. Who are basically they're just there to get their paycheck. They do this for a living. They've seen it a million times. They just want you to do your job and do it quickly so they can go home. So it's it's not not an environment that's very conducive to chemistry. So as a guy, you've got to find ways to switch, like use this in your favor, because more often than not, like one thing you'll see with new male performers is that they'll come in all gung-ho, they'll have a big ego, they'll be like, oh, I'm going to smash this, blah, blah, blah. And like any guy who's been in this industry for long enough will be able to immediately recognize when a dude is going to fail. Because he'll walk onto a set and he'll just be talking his game up all day. And then when it comes time for the direct call action,
performance time.
Yeah, he is a limp noodle. He cannot do a damn thing.
Frankie Winky.
Yeah. Okay. So a lot of what I talk about in my work is like how to switch your mental game on properly. And there's a concept I talk about called the porn star mindset, which is basically like the three elements that we need as performers to do our job on set. And that's a combination of being present in the moment, right? Which is a meditative like concept. I don't know if you've seen Eckhart Tolle's work. He talks about that a lot in The Power of Now. But the idea is like it's basically meditation. Like you're not in your head, but you're present with what's going on in front of you.
Understood.
The second aspect is you need to be sexually aroused, obviously. Right? You need to trigger those kind of thoughts, that hamster wheel going on in your head with the woman in front of you. And the third thing is you need to eliminate the fight or flight response, because that is the thing that causes Mr. Winky to not show up.
Yeah.
Boom. Is your body has this natural fight or flight response where it's like it's either like you got to turn it into a positive, and it's kind of like going in. You hear fighters talk about this when they go into like a ring, right? They have the nerves, they have butterflies, right? All the really successful and professional athletes as well, they get nervous before a big game. They have the butterflies, right? But they know how to channel it in such a way that it's useful to them.
Yeah.
Right? And that's kind of what we do. We're like, okay, here's these nerves, here's these exciting things. It's like, okay, rather than letting this like screw with my head, and get me into this sort of really negative thought spiral. Like, oh, what if I screw up? What if I screw up? What if they'll never hire me again? She'll think I'm an idiot. Like, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You get into this negative spiral.
Yeah.
Channel it in a way that you can like be the man and actually like nail this thing. Yeah.
I can relate. I mean, I used to fight professionally in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I fought in Abu Dhabi World Champion ADCC like 3 times, and yeah, I know what you mean. You get this numbness in your mouth sometimes, kind of dry mouth. You have to be able to like focus and like keep that stuff, lock it down, and channel it through your limbs. Speaking of all this fight or flight, I mean, that actually kind of surprised me. Fight or flight. I mean, I guess maybe it shouldn't surprise me, but when you first started. I mean, for me, I can't imagine like, being with anybody, the missus or anybody, and just having a whole crowd of people standing around watching me do the hokey pokey dance, I mean, that's gotta be tough. What was the hardest part for you when you entered in the industry? I mean, this is like, and just understand for my crowd, this is very groundbreaking, edgy stuff right here.
Yeah.
You're like totally haram, man. It's like, but I mean, for you, when you first got into it, and even to this day, what's the most difficult aspect of that, of the entire?
For us, the most difficult aspect is when the girl would rather be on her Instagram than having sex with you. This is surprisingly more common than you'd think. And we kind of and the reason for this is sort of going a little bit off topic, but I'll come back.
No, please.
So, like with any like industry, there's like a hierarchy, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there's certain dudes in our industry who are really at the top of their game, right? And there's probably like 10 guys who are like the top tier male performers. I'm probably in like the top 25 dudes in terms of guys who work the most out here.
Mm-hmm.
But those top 10 dudes are the ones that every girl really, really wants to work with, right? And so once a girl has worked with one of these top dudes, anyone else who's kind of not at the top of that hierarchy, she sort of like not all the girls, but some of the girls kind of get this attitude about them where it's like, oh, you should be grateful to get to work with me.
Oh my.
Right? So they'll just sit there on their Instagram all day and they'll ignore you and blah, blah, blah. So you have to learn to push through that bullshit and snap them out of it on camera so that you can get a good scene out of them. And that involves being, dominant, physically dominant with them, like once the sex happens. Learning that, learning how to deal with that is the hardest part. Was the hardest part of this job early on. I'm going to be completely honest. When I first, in probably like within my first year, sort of like almost to the end of my first year, I had a really, really bad experience where I had a girl like that, and I completely flopped. Terrible day. The scene was awful, right? And weirdly enough, that scene actually got nominated for an award. It was just the craziest thing. But for me, it was a terrible, terrible shoot, right? The editors make it look like the ironic thing is when you have a really bad scene, the editors have to do a lot more work, so they make it look better. So the audience actually thinks the scene looks better. It's weird.
Yeah.
But that was the first time I had a very bad experience on set, and it sort of made. And then shortly after that, I got introduced to Rollo Tomasi's work and Red Pilled, and I was like, oh, this makes sense now. Like all this, those a couple of experiences like that, I'm like, now I see what's going on.
Yeah.
And it sort of allowed me to figure out how to overcome that.
Yeah, Rollo Tomasi seems to have that effect on people. He had that effect on me. It was that click moment where it's like, holy smokes, that's what's going on here. When I read his material, I've always been sort of like by far and large a player, and a guy, I don't know if player is the right word. Yeah, probably is the right word. I've always been good with women, but I never understood the dynamics or the mechanics behind all of it. When I read his work, man, it was just like, it was eye-opening. It was unbelievable. Which brings us to the next question. We were talking about this in the title of this particular show. How does the average guy deal with women and dating, matrimonials, all this stuff? Muslims, it's matrimonial for us. With the standard woman and social media, if this is a problem for porn stars, I mean, that's just mind-blowing when you said that. I expected something completely different. And you said social media. I was like, what the hell? So what are we going to do as regular guys if
Well, the good and the bad, right, is that so Instagram is like the biggest tool these days for like dating.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, I think Rollo said this a few times on his show, that like porn is for men what Instagram is for women.
Yeah.
Right.
I repeat them a lot. I say that a lot. I got it from Rollo.
Yeah. Right. So like what guys want is just this constant supply of women or this of pussy, right? And porn kind of gives their brain that, whereas women want just this endless stream of attention.
Yep.
And Instagram, I don't care who the girl is. She doesn't have like average girls, like even like overweight girls. Doesn't matter what kind of girl it is. In this day and age, she puts up a few good-looking photos on Instagram, or even if she's not the most attractive looking girl, some good angled photos,
yep.
and she'll get all the attention she could ever possibly desire.
The ridiculous amounts of it,
and what that does is it can give them an inflated sense of value, right?
Mm-hmm.
An inflated sense of their actual like sexual market value, shall we say?
Yeah. Which
then makes dating and interacting with these women for the average guy much harder. It makes the game harder, right? But the advantage of Instagram, and our mutual friend has a fantastic Instagram and and I'm going to use him as an example. And I'm sure I might actually text him right now, and I'll ask him if I can drop his Instagram in the chat, because I think guys should look at it, because he's only got like 400 followers.
Yeah.
He's not a celebrity. He's not, he's just a guy, right? But he uses it perfectly.
He really does. Perfect. I have to admit, his Instagram game is just freaking on point.
See, for me, right, my Instagram is basically like a tool for me for promoting my my persona, right, my stage presence. So I don't really use it the same way he uses it. I use it to promote scenes, and I'm tagged and stuff all the time. Well, right now, because we're not really working, but when we're working, studios are tagging me in photos, and I'm just putting them out there, growing my audience. It's basically a business tool for me, right? But for the average guy, Instagram is the biggest dating app in the world if you use it properly.
Yes.
So here's the biggest insight that most guys don't understand with Instagram is it's a way for you to occupy rent-free space in a woman's mind without actually investing anything in her, any time and effort into her, right? So with the way you do this is with the stories.
Yes.
Right? With good, captivating Instagram stories, right? You can just stay in the forefront of the girls who follow you on Instagram. You can stay in the forefront of their mind all the time. And it's very easy to make your life seem a lot more exciting and interesting than it actually is.
Yes.
Right? Much in the same way that a girl would, like, let's perfect example, a rather rotund lady with nice plumage, shall we say, will take a photo at a certain angle to show off her assets and not the rest of her, right? She's using she's playing to an advantage, right?
Absolutely.
Guys can do the exact same thing, right? Videos of you working out topless, videos of you going out in nature hiking, videos of you just hanging out with your buddies, like doing manly shit, stuff that if you have an expensive car, driving fast cars, doing all kinds of going traveling, having an exciting life, whatever it is, like you can find something in your life to portray this very attractive, high value, high status persona. and you can use it. And Instagram stories are the way to do it. And the other beautiful thing about it is that you can look at all the people, you can see all the people who have watched your story.
Yes.
So then you know exactly which girls who are following you are interested, because you can check that if you're posting every day.
You can
see
who,
okay, which girls are looking at my story every single day,
waiting for your story to come on.
Right, and because they spend all day on this thing.
It's true.
All day, it was sitting there, chit-chatting away. You know. Oh, yes, you could drop my Instagram. Okay, you could drop it in the chat. We could drop his Instagram in the chat. He's listening.
Nice.
I'll let you do that because you're doing the.
Yeah, I was about to say. He's watching. Right? Is he watching?
Bramson _pickle.
Yeah. Hey, Bramson, drop it on Telegram. I got Telegram for PC running in the background, and I'll post it. Let me just jump in there. His Instagram is on point. I gave him one Instagram. It's a guy who actually, he's more like an ex-military type of guy. I was like, the only comparison I have is this guy. I was like, I haven't seen anybody else's, Instagram game that's on point like his. And I follow guys, and I follow like some rich and famous guys, some guys who are well known on Twitter. And I just, their stuff is good, but it's not like his. It's just, there's something different about it. It makes it a little bit more special. So,
and he's locked down in quarantine, and he's still doing it.
He's killing it.
Right? He's in quarantine, and he's still managing to he can't go anywhere, and he's still managing to make it look really, really cool. Right? That's the beauty of it. And if he can do it, any guy can do this.
Yeah.
And here's the other thing: you don't need a billion photos on your Instagram feed. You need one fold, shall we say? As you scroll through, you'd call that a fold. One fold is 9 photos. So you can get away, you only need 9 to 12 decent photos. That's it. You don't even need to post photos all the time. If you get another really great shot, put it up there. Whoop-de-doo. But start just focus on find dudes whose Instagrams are really, really on point, right? Look at the kinds of photos they take, right? It's them in front of a fast car. It's them working out, a really good photo of them working out. It's them on doing something really exciting and cool on holiday. Them being the center of attention somehow, doing something, right?
Yeah.
Get 9 photos of different types like that. That's all you need. And then just do some good stories. And then when you meet women, nowadays, people don't really exchange phone numbers. People exchange Instagrams. That's kind of that's more where we're heading. When it comes to dating and things. And you can use that to your advantage. If you have a really good 9, 12 photos, and every day you're putting up a really good story, then swap the Instagram. She's going to check it out. She's going to look at your story. And if it's captivating enough, you can, like I said, occupy rent-free real estate up here.
Yeah.
Without needing, and the beauty of it is you don't come across needy. Yeah, boom, there we go. That's our boy. This third photo here is the one I told him to take that photo. So that's the one of him on the horse with his crossbow. Yeah. I'm taking credit for that one.
Yeah. His Instagram stories, man, are just on point. I mean, he keeps it every day. He's got something fresh. Yeah, I'm not even a chick, and I can't wait to see his Instagram posts.
Yeah. It's good, man. It's really good. But he's also the reason they're good and the reason they work is because he's red-pilled, right? It's because he knows what it means. He knows what it means to be a man, and he's demonstrating manly, masculine virtues, right? He's training, he's fighting, he's boxing, he's not on there being a soy boy, right?
Yeah.
He's not on there I don't know, rearranging flowers. He's not on there doing the dishes, right? He's on there doing manly shit.
Yeah.
And that's an important distinction. It's very obvious. Once guys know what is, attractive to most women, what's considered high value, high status. Okay, well, these are the things I want to demonstrate on the weekend. Yeah.
Nice.
I hope you like the plug there.
The average guy actually just needs to do the same thing. Just basically weaponize his Instagram.
Yeah. And it's use it to your advantage, guys. Like it's okay. Yeah. You can make the argument that Instagram has kind of screwed up the dating market a little bit, like the dating marketplace, because like now every woman on the planet is kind of like her beauty is now kind of like marketed on a global scale, right?
Yes.
Right. Whereas like, okay, you lived in a city or you lived in a town, like you had access to, because you lived in the same town as a chick, you're only competing with the other guys in your town, or you're only competing with the other guys in your city or your community, right? Whereas now you're kind of competing with everybody.
Yeah, the
world, right? And you're kind of competing with like millionaires who will fly this girl out onto their yacht or whatever, right? If she's good looking enough. Speaking of which, have you heard of the whole Dubai porta potty thing?
Man, tag your sponsor put me onto that, dude. When I hit tag your sponsor and I saw that, I was like, holy smokes.
That is mind blowing.
Yeah. I met a couple of them when I was in Qatar. You know, I lived in Qatar 7 years, man. I met some of them women. I was like, just like, yeah, okay. Don't shake my hand, please. That was pre-Rona, and I wasn't shaking hands.
I know there's a few girls in my industry who have been flown out to Dubai, and shall we say, I don't know if they've been in that kind of a situation, but it's definitely a thing that happens, man. It's common.
Yeah,
a lot more common than guys realize. You know, it's if anyone who's not aware of what we're talking about, just Google Dubai porta potty.
Yeah, or tag your sponsor.
Or tag the sponsor. Yeah.
But this is something a lot of guys need to understand also. It's like, this comes back to the whole being a man on your mission and making sure, you're taking care of business as a man and doing it for yourself more than anything else, not just for the women, it is a sort of like build it and they will come type of thing, but that's not really the intention, because then it makes it incongruent, it makes it dishonest.
Absolutely.
And it's going to affect your outcomes. But the reality is, hot women are everywhere. It's not special anymore. There's nothing special about it when if you go outside and there was diamonds on the ground like sand, would a diamond be special? But that ruby would be. And that's men who are into their masculinity, on their mission, who are doing man stuff. They're that ruby in the pile of diamonds. And so guys are really, that's what Sam does, man. That's what my homie does. Okay.
What Bramson Pickle does.
This is what Bramson Pickle does. He's on his mission.
I'll add something to what you just said there. We actually had this chat with him when me and him went to Brazil. We went to Brazil earlier this year.
Oh.
And one of the things. So back in the day, me and him met from in like the whole doing the whole PUA pickup kind of thing back in our early 20s, right? So one of the things that guys who got into the pickup scene would frequently come across is that when you're out with your boys at the club, at a bar, whatever, meeting girls, the dudes would kind of like compete with each other over a chick, and they'd kind of they talk shit about each other in front of the girl in a funny way to try and to try and impress the girl, to try and win the girl over, and that kind of stuff, right? And we didn't really, like, back in the day, didn't really think much of it, but after being red pilled, you're like, oh, wait a minute, this is like totally the wrong way of doing things. And let me elaborate. So, perfect example was, me and him are hanging out in Brazil. He starts chatting to this cute Chilean girl at the table next to us. She ends up coming out with us that night, right? And it's me and him and her, right? I didn't have a chick with me there. We didn't find out. Her sister or a friend or whatever didn't want to come out with us. Cool, whatever. A lot of dudes would have been a lot of so we say lower status guys would have kind of been trying to compete for her attention in that situation, right? Not us. Like the whole night, I'm sitting there like talking him up. He's talking me up. we're making like, and I'm not competing for her attention with him. I'm basically just like constantly sort of reinforcing how high value both of us are, right? And this woman could not be happier. Like, you couldn't wipe the smile off her face. She did not want to leave. She didn't want the night end. She did not want to leave us. Like,
proper wingman stuff.
It's proper wingman stuff, exactly. And but here's the beautiful thing, right? It's so abundantly clear to her that she is in the presence of two very high value men because we are not competing for her attention.
Nice.
Because we don't give a shit.
He's dropping gems here, guys. Take notes. So
and that's the problem most guys will make, is that they'll compete for. They're so desperate for female attention. They're so desperate. They're so desperate to be validated by female attention that they'll do anything to get it, including putting their own homeboy on the bus.
Yeah. That brings me to the next point. It's like, okay, so a guy, he starts to get his Instagram stories on point, whatever, but he's Joe Schmo in the bush somewhere. How does he get women to actually follow him? How does he get women, how does he create like a type of funnel to bring women to him?
Yeah. Well, you got to go out and meet girls, man. Like, you got to go out and meet girls. There's no substitute for actually meeting women.
You got to go out to the old school game.
You got to do the actual work. You know, you're not gonna, if you aren't a celebrity, they aren't gonna come to you. I mean, I'm kind of in that situation with my status, with my industry, that I get girls hitting me up on my Instagram. You know,
I do.
It's like it's a good situation, but that's not really that. You can't replicate that on a mass scale for most guys, right?
Yeah, no, you can't. No, that was the whole idea behind my question. It's like, what does the average guy do? I was talking about
work. He's got to do the work.
Yeah, I was talking to the guys in the community about that. They were asking about the difference between in the time when I was coming up. I'm 48. 48 this year, and you
did not look 48. Jesus.
Thank you, sir. And I was like, back in the days, man, it was like your grandpa used to say, you used to walk uphill to school both ways, You had to go out and you had to approach girls. And if you did not just grab yourself by the cojones and then go up and approach girls, you didn't need them. You didn't get, I wasn't Muslim back then, so you didn't get laid, you didn't get girls, you didn't get feels, you didn't get the touch, nothing happened. And so I was like, that was tough. Because there was no PUA coaches back then. There was nobody telling you, go up and say this, go up and say that. The guys were just pushing you go talk to her, man, go talk to her. So you just had to and that's what the women wanted. It's like, is he even going to come over here? They didn't care what you said back then. It's just the fact that you had the stomach to approach them. It was a huge step.
I think that's kind of coming back around now because everybody is on this damn thing.
Yeah.
Everybody is doing Tinder and Bumble and whatever else and not actually going out and talking to women in real life. It's rare for a dude to have the balls to go up and actually approach a chick nowadays. It's so much easier for a guy to just sit back and send out a few messages and then hook up on a date or something like that. But
it's zero investment too.
The problem with that is that it keeps you comfortable. Comfort is the enemy of men.
That's what I mean by zero investment. That comfort. There's no risk involved. There's nothing. It's real easy to do. Fire and forget. It's a message.
That's it. No risk involved. That's the big one. That's the big one. You're not going to grow as a guy. There is something beautiful. There's something beautiful about the experience of going up to a chick and getting totally shut down. That's actually where you grow. When you go up to a chick and who's so intimidatingly hot and you fuck it up, and you get that, you get a buzz after doing that because you're like, man, I had the balls to go up and do that. Okay, awesome. next one, let's go. Right? It builds this really positive momentum in you of getting out of your comfort zone and taking like calculated risks, right? And that's something that is kind of missing nowadays.
Absolutely. I was in Qatar, like I said, 7 years. And, speaking of Muslim women in Muslim countries, it's really like a risky type of thing. We were in a shopping mall. It's called Landmark Mall. And me and a homie of mine, he's my jiu-jitsu coach. And he was like, look at them two over there. And these two Sudanese girls, just, amazing looking women. And I said, dude, and I'm one of those guys, to this day, if I see a woman that I'm just like, wow, I have to go talk to her, I just beeline it. To this day, I'll be like, no thought, no second thought, whatever. I was like, I got to talk to this woman. But it doesn't happen that much anymore. I'm not so easily impressed in my older age. Anyway, back to the story. So what you're talking about. So we go up to these Sudanese girls and they kind of see us coming. They know what we're up to. And man, this girl puts on like a real drama show. Who do you think you are talking to me? She's talking real loud. And it's like, this is a shame-based culture. So everybody's stopping her like, ooh, and I'm sweating quite literally in an AC thing. And I just said, hey, you know what? I said, you're way too cute to be like threatening or scary. I said, so why don't you just give it up? And she totally flipped and was just like, I got her number, man. I thought I was ready to get shut down. I was sweating like I was about to go into a jiu-jitsu match. I was like, making a scene. And
but you only had the capacity to like assess the situation and flip it because you've had experience doing that.
Exactly.
The average guy who goes up to a chick and gets that kind of reaction, oh shit, eject.
Yep.
Right. But you've got all these reference experiences in your head that say, it's not even, maybe it's not even like experience. You might not have even have experienced that exact situation before, but you've trained this muscle, which is like, okay, this is a fun process.
Yeah.
Like, so I'm going to do it anyway, and I'm going to enjoy. Like, you're going to enjoy it no matter what happens, and that's the key to it. Like, is falling in love with the process itself. That's why I said before, like, enjoying the aspect of getting rejected is like one of the keys to actually getting good at this shit.
So, in regards to the viewers, so guys, what we got here is we got a basic style / click funnel. So basically, real world approaches, trade Instagram. Make sure you got an on point Instagram. Do we have? Would that be like a viable
transition for the average guy these days? Yeah. That's kind of where that's an easy way to like to demonstrate as much value as possible.
To
demonstrate as much value as possible, and to like use all this technology to your advantage. Because you're competing on Instagram and you're competing with the world. But the good thing is that most dudes don't really have this shit on point.
Yeah, this is my wife. And I was walking with her, and I seen this girl. I was like, "Sup, white girl?" I said that to a woman while walking by. I was like, "Holy smokes!" Yeah, so I'm still on it. If the wife's there, it doesn't matter. I'm just like, "Hey, what's up?"
That's how you're gonna be, man.
Yeah,
I like that, man. It's like that's too many dudes are like ashamed of their desires. They've been taught to be ashamed of being a man. They've been taught to be like, ashamed of being sexual towards a woman. Like, I'm not talking about like actually having sex. I'm talking about that. I'm talking about like demonstrating, okay, hey, I'm into you.
Yeah,
like it's okay. It's okay to do that, guys.
It's a real touchy area for Muslims because, of course, we have like an entire code of conduct which like dictates and regulates the way we interact with women, intersexual dynamics, if you will, for lack of a better term. And so it becomes kind of complicated, if not more, because there's a lot of, basically haram in regards to like dealing with the opposite gender. But nevertheless, Taj said something here. He said the average Muslim guy doesn't have a chance. And he says, and I was trying to figure out why. But I kind of think I understand, but I want to get his interpretation upon it. Let me ask you this. Let me go into something else, because this is something for my Muslim viewers, and just from a general aspect where any man can technically implement this type of stuff. Okay, he gets his Instagram. he gets his gut and his stomach together to like make approaches. You know, he wants to start trading and everything like this. Instagrams with women on the street. What should he look at other than this from like physique to fitness mentality? What is the primary starting point for a guy? Because I saw you talking about mental game earlier. And so mental, we know that women and attraction starts in the head. And it's not like with men where we have an actual, like, you know, pure visualization straight down to our, you know, our lower nether regions. Women have something else going on. So what's going to be the priority for a man?
Well, everyone always talks about like looks, money, status, game, right? As like these are the things you do to like get women. And you just talked about like hitting the gym, being physically fit, like working on that. Like that's it looks upon, right? I like what I've done in my life with my current situation is I found a way to like rig the game in my favor, shall we say?
Okay.
Right. And I'll lump that in under the category of like status, right? Long term for guys, like, okay, yeah, you always want to be working on your physical health. You always want to be working on your money, right? Those you should never ever stop working on those things, right?
Yeah.
But one of the ways that you can rig the game in your favor is to set your life up in such a way that you are creating like a funnel, right? A good example of this, right? What I'm kind of talking about. Back in the day when I was at university, right? Long time ago, I used to run a student leadership conference. Right? And one of my early lessons in like, you know, women and attraction and what women find attractive and stuff was, here's me just, and we're talking about, okay, 100 person student leadership conference, people coming there from all around Australia, right? All the different capital cities, right? So none of us know each other. I'm the guy running the show. I'm up on stage giving like keynote speeches and things and running stuff. Every single woman in that audience wants to be with me because I'm the guy in charge of shit. Outside of that context, I'm just an average student like everyone else in that room. But within that context, I am the shit. I am the top dog there, right? So that's an example of like, and obviously I didn't do that with the intention of meeting women, right? That was a byproduct. But it's an example of rigging the game in your favor, right? Setting up your life, setting up situations so that it is easy for you to be perceived as having high status. Because status is actually a very contextual thing, and it is very hackable. Another example I've given before is like, I don't know if you're familiar with like esports and these kind of things, right? In Korea, like StarCraft is this super popular real-time strategy game, right? Like super popular esports game. You take like a top-ranked esports player in an esports tournament, every girl in the crowd there is going to want to get with that guy. You take that same guy and you put him in like an MMA bar, right? No one has a clue who he is. He's at the bottom of the totem pole, probably, right? It's a super contextual thing. And yeah, like there's general things that are more attractive to everybody. I mean, every girl, right? Like, okay, like the dude who's a fighter, you know, top of his game, MMA fighter, is probably going to be attractive to almost every woman. Cool. We get that, right? But what's your situation? What are your strengths? What career are you in? What social circle do you have? What hobbies do you have? How can you rig the game in your favor so you are perceived as the top dog?
Yeah, contextual alpha. I actually have a video about that. I talked about that, like, you know, how maybe the banker at the job, he's like the contextual alpha, but when he goes to the gym, he's not anymore. The quote unquote lunkhead is, and the lunkhead isn't at such and such location. It just flips, you know. And it's very rare that one guy meets all of those. There are those few elite dudes that can do it, but there's not many.
Yeah. You know? And so you can, for you know, Muslim guys, like, I don't know. I mean, okay, here's an example. Like Mike's, so I've been to Korea a few times, and I've got some Korean friends, and it's maybe this might be like a very relatable experience to Muslim men. but it's a lot of the way that they meet people is through social circle stuff. It's not by going to bars and clubs. It's okay. Here's this here's a girl I know from high school. Here's all her social circle. Here's all my social circle, and we bring those two social circles together, and that's how we meet and exchange. That's how people sort of interact, right? And so by being the guy who like instigates the social gatherings, who organizes stuff, who's leading all this, you're immediately put at the top of the totem pole in that social circle.
Yeah. I always say, like, dating, marriage. I mean, dating is probably the wrong term, but there's always some, to a degree, the way that the Muslims do it today. There's a type of quote unquote dating, even though that's not really permissible. But really, the only way for a Muslim to do that in this day and age is actually through university or work. Really, I mean, because otherwise, there's no free mixing between the opposite genders. So unless you go to university or unless you're at the workplace, it's very difficult to actually set up interactions like this unless you're dealing with highly liberalized type of Muslims, which a lot of guys aren't looking for. Of course, guys always want the conservative woman that they marry, but then I can't speak. I don't know about Muslims, but when I'm looking at well, I do know about Muslims, but when I'm talking about general TradCon Twitter, everybody's fine with the hoes until it's time to get married. And this is just basically a universally man type thing. Everybody likes the girl that sends nudes until it's time to get married. So it gets complicated for Muslims, and that's and that's why when we look at like this type of situation where we're talking about things like Instagram game and whatever else, because the environment has changed. Whether guys like to accept it or not, guys want to, whether they want it like that or not. Obviously, from an Islamic standpoint, we don't. But the game has changed, and guys got to be prepared to use the tools and put them in their arsenal at some point.
And you can guarantee that all these Muslim women are like getting influenced. I mean, if these Muslim women are hanging around with Western women, I guarantee you they're getting influenced by them.
No, absolutely.
And I guarantee they're on Instagram and they're on TikTok. They're doing
an absolute poison almost.
Right. They're still engaging in the same kinds of attention-seeking behaviors and whatever that the Western women are.
Yeah.
Right? You can't really get away from that fact.
It actually works better than the matrimonial apps. I use a few matrimonial apps to try and get married because I'm in the bush in Germany. There's not, Germany, it does now in this current age have a decent Muslim population, but I'm super rural armpit of Germany. There's just, there's not really many Muslims out here. And so I use these things and I literally funnel directly to my Instagram. And I mean, the difference has been just, Bramson Pickle, he put me onto that, and it's been crazy how well it's been working out. I mean, this is something I didn't know, and I'm supposed to be at the top of the game out here. And this dude put me on a game. I was like, look at this guy. Yeah. So this is a good talk to me.
One of the things you can do is, and you'll see a lot of the girls in my industry do this. They will set up a profile on Tinder, Bumble, whatever, any of these dating apps, and all they'll put up a couple of their best photos. And they don't write anything in their bio. They just put their Instagram. And it's a funnel. They get so many dudes following them thirsty guys following them on Instagram simply because of that. And you can do that, and guys can do the exact same thing. You just use it as a funnel to direct girls where you want them to be, where you want them to be able to see and engage with your story.
Yeah.
So it's much easier to get in their minds.
So let me ask you this now. So now we've got an entire system we're giving guys here to work with. How, I don't know if this is the terminology you would use, but weaponizing your attention, is this something that you do or about, or I don't know, because I find that a lot of times when I talk to guys, they're too free with their attention. Yeah. And they're just, making it rain and they're cheapening it. What's your secret or trick to that?
Man, learning that was a huge game changer for me. If I'd known the idea of it's a super simple concept, but how significant in attention is to women. It is that one thing is a massive game changer. If I'd known that at 16, my life would have been completely different. I would not be where I am because of that. Like, I guarantee you that. But something I actually wanted to ask you, if I may, is being like when you are, and I know you have multiple wives, right? But let's break it down. Let's pretend you only had one, right?
Okay.
For some of the other guys in the chat, let's pretend they have one.
The regular guys,
right? If when you're living with somebody, when you're in the same house as somebody, how do you, if they act up, if they misbehave, how do you go about withdrawing attention from them when they're physically right there with you? But like, because for for a guy like me, if I'm just chatting with a girl, right, and she says something I don't like, or she misbehaves, okay, I just don't text her.
Yeah,
it's much easier to withdraw that attention, right? Or if I'm in the bar talking to a chick, okay, I just back turn, talk to some other chick, right? That's a much easier way to withdraw that attention and make her feel that ping of withdrawal. But if you're physically living with somebody, right? How would you go about that?
I mean, me personally, my wife's watching. I'm gonna give up all my secrets right in front of her. No, I have a lot to do, and I stay absolutely busy, and so I can literally just like switch her off and just like focus on my. It's sort of non-existent in the house, and if I actually, for once, don't have something to do, I can go to the gym and lift. So I've always got something I can do. I'm a guy. I like to fly my drone. This is what I have 2 Instagrams. I have a drone one that I use more as my funnel, and then I got my Abuamerican one. And so I can take my drone and just pack up and go out and like film something nice. And she knows for a fact, not just from my Instagram, but she knows for a fact because she travels with me a lot of times on my drone flights that I always pick somewhere very nice, somewhere very unique, somewhere very special. So that's just like guaranteed. That's like a knife in the heart. So, and I know it. and this is true. This is absolute fact. She will get upset if I don't let her tie my shoes. Stuff like that. She literally gets upset. So if I'm like, no, I got it. She'll literally like, I don't let her do stuff for me. Also, I won't let her cook for me, clean for me, tie my shoes, this type of stuff. I'll just be like, you know what, I got this. I don't need you.
Right. There it is. And I think that's like, for your audience, that is going to be extremely useful, practical advice there. Like having shit to do, like being a man on a mission. Like you have a life to lead. Things like your life and your mission and your purpose rank far more important than giving this woman attention. It's not that complicated of a philosophy. It's not that complicated of a thing to explain to people.
Yeah,
but it's mind-boggling how effective it can be. Yeah, like okay, a good example, right? I had this back in my mid-20s. I had this girlfriend, French girl, and I went to my buddy's house to we used to have like a weekly card game session, right? So I'm at his house. I get a text from her like just as I get there, like, "Oh, what are you doing tonight?" I'm like, "Oh, look, actually no. That's right. My phone was on like 1% battery or something when I got to my mate's house.
Yeah,
and it died while I was there. And like, well, I didn't think anything else. I was having a good time with my friends. Night ends. I go home. I plug the phone in. Battery kicks on. Right. And as the phone turns on, it's like, bing, 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 bing. I just constantly for like 5 minutes. I ended up with like something like 30 text messages, 12 missed calls, 7 voicemails, something like that. And it started out from, "Hey, what are you doing tonight? I'm free. Hey, give me a call back when you're free. What are you doing? Who is she? How could you do this to me?
Oh my gosh!
You went from 0 to 100 over the course of like 3 hours of just not replying. She went from, and this is obviously an extreme example, but she like the hamster wheel in her head just went rolling. She was like, "Oh my god, he's ignoring me. If he's ignoring me, he must be having sex with another woman. Couldn't possibly be anything else." Right? That's how powerful attention is, man.
Yeah, I think this is also a problem. One of the problems, I guess this is more for the guys than it is for you. It's like a lot of guys are far too loose with their attention, you know, and I always say that women in attention, I got this from Melissa Massey, you know, women in attention is like men in money. And women don't care how the attention comes. They don't care if it's negative, if it's positive, if this, it's that, as long as it's attention. In the same way, men don't care if you pay me in dollars, euros, British pounds. We just want it, you know?
Yeah.
Just make sure the exchange rate is right and we're straight. And women are the same way, you know? And so you're just like making it rain. You're cheapening it. You're flooding the market. So stop flooding the market, guys. You know?
And you're and by doing that, you're probably unknowingly reinforcing very bad behaviors. Right? Every time she's acting up and you're giving her attention, you're teaching her, oh, I can do whatever I like and he's still gonna give me attention.
Yeah.
That's the killer. It's like you've got to learn to reinforce the good stuff and take away from the bad stuff. It's a sad thing because most guys just want to chill out.
Yeah.
You know? Like that's what most men, you ask most men what they would want in a relationship. I just want to fucking chill out and cuddle with her and watch TV and like not have her nag and give me shit. That's basically what most men want out of a relationship. Like, okay, and she sucks my dick every night or whatever. We know it's not that complicated. Like a perfect woman is a woman who's smiling, gives you like has sex with you all the time, and doesn't nag. That's basically it. The bar is very, very fucking low.
Yes.
Right? So it's a very easy standard. But because most men just give women attention all the time, no matter how shitty they're behaving, women learn to act very badly. They don't get reinforced to do things that men actually want them to do. They get reinforced to act like brats and like children. Right.
You know, the first time I actually heard that broken down as like an actual system, it was from Andrew Tate, and it actually surprised me that I never caught it before he actually said it in just such a clear and concise way. And he said, you know, most guys are dealing with problems with the women because the only time they give them constant, consistent, like clear attention is when she's arguing with them. And so that's when he's the most focused on her and giving her the most attention. And he's like, so you're basically reinforcing that by giving her the most clear and decisive amount of your attention, where you're the most focused on her, trying to win an argument. You're rewarding bad behavior. And so what she's going to do the next time? She's going to act bad again. You know, because you did. Then later on, you're going to try and make up. You're going to bring flowers, whatever else. Oh, if I act bad, I get stuff. If I act bad, he's going to pay attention to me. And you should be doing the opposite. Yeah. When she's behaving good, give her the best attention, and when she's acting bad, cut her off. Just whack.
And it's also you're giving her emotions, right?
The roller coaster.
You're giving her the roller coaster emotions. Like when she's when you're getting into an argument. They're not necessarily good emotions, right? But you're giving her this emotional roller coaster, right? And that is another big thing. Like, yeah, you want to give her attention when she's being good, but you also need to spike her emotions when she's being good.
Yeah,
right. You got to find a way to do that. And it can be as simple as like cocky, funny, push pull, like like teasing her. Here and there when she's actually being good, but it's like you're still giving her attention and you're giving her some kind of emotional range. It's not always like
boring.
Yeah, like happy fun, like this flat line positive emotion.
Yeah. I know exactly what you mean. I talk to it's on my Twitter a lot, I think. no, I haven't spoken about it recently, but I talked about it on YouTube on my channel here a lot about giving her the up and down. You have to control. You're the conductor of a roller coaster, and you can't leave a woman in charge of the roller coaster because she's going to tear the brakes off of it. Rip off the emergency stop, and she's going to get on that thing and slam the throttle on full until one day you're standing there like, why is she talking about the trash not being taken out? And she's freaking out. That's her screaming, "This is no fun anymore." So you have to control the ups and downs. It's like, no, just sit down, hands inside the car. I'm going to control the loop-de-loops and all that stuff. You just sit there. You have to control that stuff because if you don't, it's going to go out of control. And then you're going to find yourself reacting to situations instead of controlling them and being proactive and making sure the up and downs are there when they're supposed to be or when they need to be. And a lot of guys don't get this. And it's one guy even said it. One guy I worked with him one-to-one for a long time. I say like between 2 marriages and like 3 years. And he's finally in a position where he wants to be. And he's like, I talked to him like it was maybe like 3 months ago. And he said, "Dude, this is a lot of work." I was like, "Yeah, you don't get a break, man."
No.
I was like, "Who told you it was going to be fun?"
Yeah.
But he's in a position where he's with a beautiful woman. That woman accepts him like, marrying another woman, and she's basically not giving him crap before like he used to have. So it's really a lot of work, and a lot of guys don't want to deal with that.
We're not taught this. At least, I mean, maybe Muslim men are, but Western men certainly not taught.
I have this platform.
That's a good point. We're not taught about the burden of performance.
Yeah,
we're not taught about that. We have to, we have to be healthy. We have to be wealthy. Like we got to work on money. We got to work on looks. We got to work on status constantly. We have to keep that shit up, right? That's our value, and we have to be in control. We have to lead the situation. It's not like guys, like I said before, guys just want to like let go and relax once in a while. You can do that. You do that with your boys, your homies. That's when you do that. That's why having strong male relationships, having a strong tribe of guys is important, because that's when you can actually let your hair down. Around your woman, that is not the time to do that, unfortunately. And most guys kind of get that the wrong way around. They think that she's my soulmate, she's my partner, she's the one I can talk to about anything. I can unburden all of my all my emotional baggage onto her. She doesn't want that. She doesn't want that shit. She does not want to hear about how bad your day at work was. She wants you to lead. She wants you to like you said, take control of the roller coaster, right? She wants you to give her the emotional ups and downs, and unfortunately, for most guys, it just doesn't come very naturally. So it's going to take some effort. You're going to actually have to think about it.
Yeah, we're like in backwards, upside down world. I mean, this goes into like deep in the red pill stuff. Like basically, we're like socialized, and conditioning has taught us the opposite of what we're supposed to be. They're telling guys they need to be touchy feely and into their emotions and all this type of stuff, and not like where you actually need to be. Yes, you be touchy feely with your emotions with your homies, like you said. You got problems, you go to your boys. But with your woman, no, she's not your best friend. No, she's not your soulmate. This is not the place to be. Breaking down and burying your soul.
Yeah,
you're gonna just make her like look at you like, ugh.
Your compliments to each other.
Yes,
that's the thing. We're taught something very different. We're taught that it's like we're taught that we're the same and that we're equal. No, we're complement. We're different. We're very, very, very different. Men and women are very different. But they're complementary, right? Like women enrich your life. They make your life so much, like it's so much better when you have a woman in your life, right?
Yes.
But you have to understand, the dynamics of it. You have to understand what that entails, the responsibility that entails. If you want it to be a happy relationship.
Absolutely. I'm going to throw up a couple questions here real quick. I got one. I guess this one is for me. Taj says, in this new era, would you say for Muslim sourcing and Islamically marrying women, building up experience is the way to go, even if you have to lock a few of them along the way? Taj, man, I can't remember who it was. I think it was Omar Ibn al-Khattab. He said, marry and divorce. He says because women are plentiful. I mean, there's a huge stigma in the Islamic community on men being married and divorced multiple times. But when we look at like the Sahaba, when we look at the companions of the Messenger of Allah, peace be upon him, these guys were married and divorced quite a few times. So I don't know why when we say that the best of the people after the prophets and the messengers were the companions of the prophets and the messengers, these guys were married and divorced more times than all of us, and they weren't frowned upon. Everybody refers back to them as like the ideals of Muslim men. someone explain to me the contradiction. Who told you Islamically or me or anyone else that we got to be miserable? You get a miserable chick and it happens. You get a miserable, I call miserable chick. You get a miserable sister, you marry her, and then there's no changing her misery. Who said you got to stay miserable? You got to walk around, come home, or actually go home, drive home like, God damn, what's going to happen now? You just dealt with your boss who hates your guts. Now you go drive home and you be like, God, this woman, walk in the door, she's looking at you, she's like, ugh, there's this guy with his beard. Or, come on, man. So yeah, even if you have to talk a few times, I got this thrown in my face by a sister recently. She was like, "Oh, you've been married and divorced so many times. I had to check you out, whatever." I was like, "Yeah, I'm not going to be miserable. I'm not going to deal with goofy. It's not my place. I got enough going on in the world. You want me to be the man out in the world? I'm gonna come home and deal with stupid." So yeah, in terms of sourcing, bro, I mean, that's a whole conversation. I don't want to just go on a half-hour rant, but basically, this is the same thing I tell everybody. Like same thing I tell my guys in the community. If you can do it through your family, if you can do it through the masjid, if you can do it through your community, do it that way. I'd say online matrimonials for Muslim men is probably only for reverts like myself, where a lot of communities, let's just be honest, they're not trying to give their women to like a black guy who converted to Islam or a white guy who converted to Islam. They just don't want to do it. So you're stuck with online matrimonials. And that to me is the absolute worst source you can go to. It's not the worst. I mean, I got two good women off there, but I got one for you, good sir. Where is it? I saw it in here. Dave asked it. Here it is. I got to hear the answer to this one.
Jeez,
I know how to deal with nymphomaniacs, but a rebellious one I've never come
across. It's the same thing, man. You just gotta deny them attention. Because the thing is, when I know like a lot of Red Pill guys talk about this, but once a girl has like slept with a lot of guys, like the takeaway, shall we say, like not giving her attention or like nexting her has less and less effect the more guys she slept with, right? Gotcha. So because if she's an nymphomaniac, if she's like out, let's say rebellious, like in my industry, a rebellious nymphomaniac would be like, I don't know, girl, she's out like partying all the time, doing cocaine, and then like sucking every dick in a club, and then like I don't know, like turning up to set late, like pissing everyone off, being a total asshole on set. Okay. Like there's a certain point where like, okay, yeah, you don't give that chick the attention she wants, but she's just gonna go get it from someone else anyway. Like because at a certain point she's got a Rolodex of dick that will just jump on her at any given chance. The reason she is like that is because that every dude has been like, oh, I'll fuck her, stuff it, I'll fuck her, and it just reinforces this rebellious, shall we say, bad behavior that no dude really wants to deal with. Yeah, there is like you just said that there are plenty of women in the world. Yeah. There are plenty. There's no
consequence for the bad behavior, basically.
What was that?
I said when you're talking about this woman, there's technically there's no consequence for her bad behavior.
Yeah, absolutely. And unless you are like, okay, the exception would be to what I just said would be, okay, you are the most high status, attractive guy she has ever met in her entire life, and she is so head over heels, madly in love with you, that the thought of not being around you or not getting your attention is so powerful that she'll correct her behavior. Like that's literally the only way to if she's been on the carousel of dick, like that's about the only realistic scenario where she might start to get back on track and start behaving in a way that you might enjoy. But that's you have to really be the man, right? Yeah. The thing, guys, like you don't have to worry about, like you said before, there's lots of women in the world, and the beautiful thing about being a man is that like your value doesn't decrease with age. As you get older, you become more valuable, right? Yeah. So okay, like your first wife didn't work out. All right, well, there's plenty of 18-year-olds, coming up through the rank. Like as you get older, there's still plenty of women to choose from.
Yeah.
and you're only becoming more attractive, right? So, don't settle. Don't give away your value just because you think for some perceived notion that you have to.
Yeah, you don't have to put up with BS, basically.
Yeah, probably is. No.
I have a question for you before I go on to the next question. What's your take on poly? I mean, I'm a polygynous guy. I just can't do monogamy. It's just I've tried it, and it just makes me like a grumpy old man. You know, I just my 48 starts showing when I'm monogamous. What's your take on that? Well, how do you feel about that?
Well, I mean, I'm fine with it, obviously. I mean, pretty self-evident that I'm totally fine with having multiple sexual partners. The thing with our industry is that you'll see a lot of. Now, I'm of the opinion that it's like I want multiple women, right? And I don't want those women to have other dudes.
Absolutely.
In my industry, it's very very common for porn stars to date each other, and then obviously they're working, right? So they're going around and sleeping with other people, and then they basically every porn star relationship is effectively what we would call an open relationship. You know, where both partners are kind of to a degree, they're at least free to work with whoever they want, and the word work can be as simple as putting an iPhone up in a room and filming things. But for me personally, I don't really want.
Yeah.
You know, if I'm going to be dating, like long-term committing to somebody, I'm of the opinion now that I don't want them to be, screwing around with anyone else. But I wasn't this way before. I have come to this place.
Yeah.
I've come from kind of being in favor of open relationships to more being in favor of your.
Yeah. I'm into female. You're exclusive to me. I mean, it sounds awkward. I mean, it's their industry and everything. It just sounds weird. Like you're in this industry where you know the guy who's working with your girl, and you're like, hey, Ted, hey, how's the girl? How's that anal tear? I put on her the other day. You're like, hey, bro, you can't get mad. It's just a bit weird.
It becomes so normal when you're doing it, like when it's your profession and you're doing it day after day, and the people, like your social circle is people in your industry. It's like when I talk to someone who's not in my industry about it, sometimes you'll just slip into language that you'd normally talk about with someone on set, and it's so you forget how far removed you are from the average person.
Yeah, I can imagine.
I have sex with more women in like a month than most men have in their entire life. It's like it's a weird situation.
Yeah, it can like alter your view of the world.
It does. It really, but it does give you a very good reference experience. It gives you lots of reference experiences in regards to women and what they like in the bedroom and what they enjoy. Like it's when you see the same patterns again and again and again and again and again.
Yeah.
Like, oh, okay.
I can imagine. Yeah.
Most women like a man who takes charge in the bedroom.
Yeah.
Right. It's pretty common.
Gotcha. This is one I guess we could both kind of jump into. Suleiman asks, in a long-term relationship, how do you manage your woman's social media? I got an opinion. Please go first. You're my guest.
Well, the first thing I'll say is do not take photos of her for her social media. Don't be the Instagram boyfriend. Dear God. You see these pictures of these dudes at the beach, like, and their woman is like in the ocean, like posing or whatever, and he's like down here trying to get the best shot of her ass. So she can put it on her Instagram and get other dudes jumping in her DMs. What are you doing? Don't do that. Good Lord, man.
Yeah. Suleiman, I'm of the I don't know how it is in like the non-Muslim world, but in the Muslim world, I hold that since men are considered to be like absolutely in charge, women are going to have to accept that. Muslim women are going to have to accept that you need to have access to her social media. As to whether or not you check it is something else. Because you don't want to like fall into a situation where you get her access and you're checking it all the time and you're coming across as very insecure. It's going to blow up in your face. But at the same time, that concept and that idea that there's always that overwatch, that you're always going to be there, like, paying attention, even if you don't do it, or you do it so randomly and so like, sparsely that it's just like she never knows what's going to happen. To me, that's like that has a very powerful like mental effect. It kind of sets the frame of who has the dominance and control. And obviously, this is not mutual. You are not going to give her your social media and your passwords or whatever else. My explanation for that is, and if you want to use it, it's like, hey, I'm a polygynous man. I get messages from my other wife. You can't see that. Maybe she sends me some stuff that's really risky and whatever else. You're not, that's not for you. That's for me. So you don't have a man, that you can receive stuff from, not in a permissible way. So I get access. You don't. So for me, when you manage their social media, you have to do it from that position. Because I'm of the opinion, with my wife watching, I will say this, that your woman is the most responsible teenager in the house. I took that from Ola Tomasi. She's goofy. She's going to do goofy stuff. You have to get charged. You got to be there, take charge and run the show, but in a non-needy and a non-insecure way. Did I answer the question? I think I did.
I think we did.
Yeah. So
there's one last one just came in here. I think
the bottom one.
Yeah. I mean, I think we kind of covered this already. To be honest, it's basically the exact same thing. They're women. It doesn't like this. They're still women. They respond to the same things. And it's attention is the most valuable thing, as far as women are concerned.
Absolutely. And that this is something I like have a conversation with guys with a lot. It's like you find there's an entire situation where like, a lot of Muslim men, they make the apotheosis of Muslim women. You know what I mean? They're literally acting like they're angels. And like, they don't have actual sexual desires or anything. Like, we're these lowly creatures who, want to just claw their clothes off of them. And they're like, oh my God, stay away from me. It's just, it's a weird dynamic when, you run across, this is very common and widespread. It's a very, very like, beta type, perspective of women. And so, when you try and tell guys this stuff in the Muslim community, it's like, hey, treat her like a woman because that's what she wants to be. She is a woman first. I mean, she's Muslim, yes, but she's also from a biological standpoint. She is a woman, and so all of the same factors from reproduction and how it operates, that's universal. Like I guess hardware. The software, which is the religion in terms of like how she functions in society, that's different. But that hardware, guys.
It's all the same. Doesn't matter where you are in the world, what culture you're in. It's all like there are some universals.
Yeah.
Come to women.
Yeah, that's true. It can blow up in my face sometimes. Sometimes it bites me in the rear and I got to fight Muslim Twitter. But, the reality is, man, it's like there's a lot of denial in place. And this, I guess I can tell this to you, Sterling. There's a lot of denial in the Muslim community about the realities of what's going on in the Muslim world and in the Muslim communities. And it's like I personally deal with that. You should see the messages I get from sisters and the stuff they're dealing with, the problems they're dealing with, and then I get messages from guys and the problems they're dealing with. And then I get a good, nice cross match of like what's going on each side of the fence, and a lot of this stuff I can't put online because some of these people, we don't have like a Christian ideology of like, what's this called? When you go and you confession, this is not allowed in Islam, but people come to me and they drop stuff that would like just destroy other people's souls. Sometimes it's a stress for me, the stuff that people drop on me. And I'm like, damn, I'm 48. When did this happen? What are you guys doing out there? When did the game go this far? And so when I match this stuff up, and then Muslims are coming at me like with this weird angle, I'm like, dude, what are you, So yeah, it's kind of hard to maintain like this entire, this I art holier than thou, type thing when I'm in the trenches trying to help people, get themselves together,
I'll tell you what. I'll give you your viewers a little insight from my industry as well. You'd be shocked, or maybe not so shocked, at the number of Muslim men that slide into the DMs of not just my DMs, like, but my co-stars DMs regularly. Because it's Instagram because Instagram's a safer work platform, right?
Yeah.
We get a lot. I get lots of Muslim men DMing me asking how can I shoot porn? This happens quite regularly.
You know, one thing I noticed and this has surprised a lot of people. There's a heavy porn addiction, even amongst Muslim women. This is probably one of the top things that I get from Muslim women. They don't even realize. I think it's just a woman thing. I don't think women realize they have porn addictions at times. Because they don't see a problem with it where men see a problem with it. Men generally feel bad about it and they feel dirty. And then women, they're just sort of like, watch some porn. Like, you say that so casual, like you just made noodles or rice this afternoon. And so they don't see a problem where a lot of guys do. And this is like cross Muslim and non-Muslim. I've seen no difference in this behavior. And this is why I come with the whole hardware, software type thing. But this is universal where women generally don't see a problem with watching porn where men universally do. And I just found that really odd. As it's like, what the heck? Yeah. So.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't really surprise me that you'd have like a lot of like, especially in like the world we live in now, that you'd have Muslim women watching a lot of porn because they can't, given the restrictions of their religion, they can't go out and interact in the way that they're seeing Western women do, I guess.
Yeah. It's a weird thing, and this comes back to just basically this blue pill ideology that a lot of Muslim guys have. It's like, why would they think that these women aren't like, really hot and ready to go? Because, they're in a hyper, we just look at the West in general. It's a hypersexualized culture right now.
Yeah.
We are in from the commercials to the television to, Netflix or whatever else, Instagram, social media is hypersexualized. How is that not going to have an effect on someone, male or female? It's obviously going to have
Oh, absolutely. So, and we've got an entire I'm millennial, technically. I think I just scrape in as a millennial, unfortunately. So you've got an entire like millennial generation and Gen Z, the new generation, who have basically been not brought up high streaming, streaming internet sites like Pornhub, right? They came in around 2000-ish, I think.
Yeah.
About when they came in. So you've kind of got like this whole generation of who've grown up with access, like easy access to internet, endless amounts of internet pornography.
Yeah.
And it has seriously impacted them. Like rates of erectile dysfunction in men under the age of 30 have skyrocketed since the advent. And it's like you look at the statistics, it's like, okay, normal. Here comes Pornhub, bang. It just shoots right up. Right.
Wow.
And it's not one of the things one of the bits of advice I give in my book to guys is like, okay, if you are, and this is obviously more applicable to Western men than to Muslim men, but if you find yourself struggling to say maintain an erection with your partner, it's quite likely that you have bombarded your brain with too much dopamine from watching tons of internet pornography.
Yeah.
Like it has an actual physical effect, and it's easy to okay. Like I tell dudes to do what I call a dopamine fast. I say, okay, like 30 days, no porn, get off social media as well, right? Like cut all that shit out. So you give your dopamine receptors 30 days to kind of reset themselves and acclimatize again, and boom, like everything starts working like it should again. It's a real basic concept, but we're so plugged in now that it's a lot harder for people to do.
It truly is.
Yeah,
it truly is, especially if like you're working with social media, and like a lot of people, they have a lot of overlap, and they can just suck you right back in. It's really difficult, man.
I like to use apps that interact with it for me. So like when I'm I'll like Instagram, I genuinely hate using Instagram, which is really annoying because it's actually quite good. for my work and for doing, and for dating and things like that. But I'll use things like app like Schedugram, where I'll like schedule the next 6 months of Instagram photos, and I won't have to look at it.
Oh wow!
I'll just do that.
Let me write that down. Schedugram.
Schedugram, yeah. That it's useful if like me, I get given lots of behind the scenes photos and box cover photos for my shoots to to promote, so I can be like, okay, bang, I've got content for the next 2 months. I don't have to like actually take a photo myself.
Yeah,
I'm not that great at it, So like, wherever possible, I will try to like schedule stuff in advance to limit the way I have to interact.
Yeah. My drone photos on this right here, I've got like about 450 gigabytes worth of like drone photos. I just don't have time to like update my Instagram. I really don't. So that's when you say that, I could probably get like a few years off of what I got on here.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Schedugram, that stuff. But it like don't even like you don't. The thing is, you don't even need that many photos. I mean, like I probably because when I worked through. When I was traveling a lot and working through like England and Europe and stuff, I'm obviously in all these different countries and I'm taking tons of photos. So my Instagram had like for the year I was traveling a bunch through Europe, I have so many photos of like old buildings on my Instagram. I've got I probably took too much. You don't really need as much as people think you do. But
I just enjoy photography. My father was a photojournalist, so I just kind of picked up the habit of like just the love of photography. And then to top it off with my hobby of drones, it just kind of ties in together. But that's really good to know.
There was a question in the chat back here that I kind of wanted to touch on. Where was it? Is Sammy?
Where is it? I don't see it.
Sam
here, right here.
Yeah.
So Sam here, Sterling mentioned his workouts, boxing, lifting in one of the other podcasts. Can you go into more?
Yeah. So. Well, with quarantine and whatnot, it's been a real pain in the butt because I don't have any home workout equipment until this week. So I've had to go. I've had to run down to the local baseball diamond where there is one section on the dugout where I can do a pull up. There's like one tiny bit where I can get my hands around something to do some pull ups around here. Because there's literally no parks around where I live in the valley where that have like a pull up bar. It's annoying, but now I have actually have a couple of kettlebells. I love doing kettlebell swings and kettlebell workouts. Are great. And I've just got sitting right in front of me here is a new a power tower, like a pull up tower, which I'm going to be setting up in my backyard after this podcast. But something I want to touch on that I started learning how to box this year, and I've been doing one-on-one stuff with my coach during quarantine. And the reason a couple of reasons I started to do that. One, I think it's important for every man to know how to fight. I genuinely think that's important. And I only came to that realization quite recently, within like the last 12 months. But two, again through the course of writing my book, I was sitting down looking at like what are the common patterns and habits for all the other male porn stars. Like what's something that they all tend to do? And one of the most common things was all these dudes, not all of them, but large majority of these dudes have done some kind of combat sport, be it MMA or boxing. Super, super common because it produces dudes with really high testosterone. Like high testosterone makes them very competitive, makes them comfortable in uncomfortable situations. Super useful, super useful for any man to learn how to box or MMA. So I'm really looking forward to like getting up to the point where I can be sparring within the next couple of months. It'll be really exciting.
It's a big thing that I push all the time. I tell guys all the time, you have to do a combat sport that you have to spar in. Don't go doing no taekwondo or whatever. Taekwondo, I did it for a while, but it's just not the same as when you get in a boxing ring, Muay Thai, Jiu-Jitsu. It's not the same. Somewhere where a guy is trying to eat your lunch.
You're not going to recommend Aikido?
No. Personally, no. I had an Aikido guy. He used to come by in Qatar, and we just, we beat him up so bad that he just never came back one day, and he was like, okay, sorry, buddy.
One of my favorite things is to watch like compilations of like fake martial art gurus
Yeah,
and stuff like that. Oh my god, it's so funny.
McDojo or something like this on Instagram is a good one. McDojo, I think it's called.
McDojo?
I think it's called McDojo.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
gonna look that one up. I'm
it's,
gonna write
it's
that down.
awesome. Yeah, it's an awesome Instagram. That's all it is, just video clips of like, no touch knockouts and just goofy stuff. But yeah, guys have to fight. It changes the way you view the world, and it changes the way you walk and you move in the world. And women notice that stuff. When you walk around the world, like, you know what? I'll give you an example. I was in Frankfurt. I was going to see this girl. It was a play that dropped, unfortunately. I had to let it go. But I was going to see her, and I'm not familiar with Frankfurt. And I'm driving in a lane that actually closes off. And at the last minute, I saw it close off. So I speed up, and the guy tried to speed up and cut me off because technically I'm supposed to yield. But I cut him off, and he gets upset. He has to slam on his brakes. And then, like, maybe 10 meters ahead, I had to park. It was kind of stupid of me because I probably should have went behind him because I had to park. So I get out of the car, and the guy starts yelling out the window, "Hey, did you see something wrong with what you did?" I said, "Yeah, man." I said, "I apologize. I'm not from here." I said, "You see my place? I'm not from here." I was like, "My bad." It's like, "Watch out, watch out." And then I just like, "Stop for a second." I said, "All right, watch." I said, "Get out of the car and show me why I need to watch out right now. Just get out." This guy is like, 80 pounds overweight, Yeah, McDojo, that's it. The guy's like 80 pounds overweight. I know he'll lose his breath on a 3-stair flight of steps. I'm like, all right, get out of the car. Show me what you got. He just drove off. But there was women on the sidewalk, everything just looking at me like, who that guy just sent him, scurrying. And women like that. They like confidence. They have this what is it called? Hybristophilia, where they like violent, dangerous men. As we see, they always go for the bad boys. You got to be that guy, but you don't have to be that guy.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
You have to have the capacity for violence.
Yes. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
That's it. Like, because no one, like, there's nothing attractive about a man who can't defend himself or his family.
Yeah, that's just terrible. I put this in my book. I have a book. Oh, I don't have a copy here. The Mad Monkey. And I talk about this. I'm like, a man who can't defend what he calls his doesn't really have anything. You're just lucky that nobody's coming along to take it, but really it's not yours. If I can just come up and say, hey, you know what, those are some nice shoes, give them to me, and you can't stop me from taking them, those aren't your shoes. You're wearing them, you paid for them, but they're not really yours. It's the same thing with your woman.
Oh, yeah.
Abuamerican, what are some tips for Muslim males who are unmarried and wants their future partner to perform their best? Basically, get them what you want to do in bed. Dude, you can't negotiate desire. I'm not really sure. Maybe I'm not understanding the question, but you have to be the person that she desires and she wants. You have to be that attractive guy where she's like, God damn, I just want to grab that guy by the pants and just, and you want your girl to be that woman. Like, you want to come home. I say this to women all the time. This is an example, but a reverse for flip. This is how I deal with women. And so, but you have to look at this the reverse way also. Are you that man for this woman? So when I talk to a woman and I say like, hey, I want my girl like this, I want her to dress like this, whatever. So she's like, oh, do you see me only as a sexual object? I'm like, okay. Imagine a situation where you're married to a man, let's say me, and then I come home and I'm not sexually attracted to you. You are not the object of my sexual desire. Some woman across the street is. I said, how would you feel about that? Would you want me to desire her or you? So when I want to get hot and ready with you, I got to put up a picture of the neighbor, and say, oh, yeah. All right, baby, let's go. How would that make you feel? She's like, no. I said, so you actually want me to hold you as the desire, as the center of my sexual desires. That's what you really want, and you don't want to try and logic with women. You got to make her feel the situation. And that's why I give that example, to make her feel like, imagine me talking about some other woman to get hot and ready for you so I could get busy with you. That's an absolute turnoff to her, So now you have to reverse that situation. What am I doing as a man? Am I on my mission? Am I fit? Am I confident? Am I confident? Am I strong? Am I this? Am I all the things? And yes, the list that you have to be is significantly longer. I don't care if it's not fair. It's just how it is. The burden of performance. We talked about that. Are you that guy that's going to inspire her to where it's like, I'm going to do whatever it takes to keep this guy around the house? Does he say, come in the shower and top me off? I'm going to do it. I want to do it. I'm going to try and figure out what it takes to stay in this guy's life. And when you're that guy, you'll find that women will actually get quite creative in trying to find ways to keep you, happy with them. You won't have to like try and get her to do stuff because she's going to want to do it on her own. This is the situation I have right now. I never asked my wife to start tying my shoes. It's something she came up with. Is the weirdest thing in the world to me at first. Now it's just kind of like, where you at? My shoes ain't tied. I'm spoiled. So you have to be that guy for her. I hope that answered your question. Whew. Sorry, I didn't go on a rant there. Sterling, what is your thoughts on natural TRT? I think that's a bit of contradiction.
It's a bit of an oxymoron, but okay.
Yeah, I think so too. And Viagra for the average guy, what did they use in porn?
Okay, cool. So, guys do use Viagra in porn. All right. The problem, here's the thing that most dudes do not know or understand about Viagra, though, is that your body can develop a resistance to it very quickly if you use it frequently. So what happens is dudes will get into the industry, they'll start using Viagra, and they shoot a lot, and within 6 months, it doesn't work anymore. It literally has no effect. And here's the other thing most guys don't know about Viagra. Viagra doesn't give you a boner. Viagra keeps a boner around for longer, right? So you still have to get an erection, right? You can't, as I talked about before, the whole fight or flight response, right? You still have to be aroused and not be anxious and intimidated or whatever, right? You still have to physically be able to get an erection. Viagra just keeps it there longer than it normally would stick around, shall we say? That's the whole thing about Viagra. The way, and so what we learn in the industry is like we learn different ways to like improve our natural shall we say erectile strength. Like there's a few different exercises you can do, so that we don't have to rely on Viagra as much, and we can save it for when we have an exceptionally difficult scene to perform, shall we say, like something that's a lot more, say, acrobatic or athletic in its performance than like, say, just having sex in a bed, right? We can save it for the much harder days, or maybe when we're just, we've been up all night, we have to shoot again the next day or something, like when it's a really difficult situation, that's when we'll pull that out of the bag, because we need to have a strong foundation of cardiovascular health, strong erectile function to do our job normally. Because if we rely upon the Viagra, we're not going to be able to work in 6 months. With the TRT stuff, I talk about this in my book. There's lots of different. I think he might have been asking for like more natural things than TRT. Maybe that's kind of how I'm going to interpret his question for now. TRT is good for dudes who are 40 plus. I would definitely. I mean, most dudes, I would recommend like getting your Craig right here. I recommend most dudes getting your blood work tested for certain. Get your blood because you just don't know.
Yeah.
Because we live in a world where we're constantly bombarded with phthalates and estrogen-like compounds, it can combine that with the average a sedentary lifestyle, working indoors, not getting much sunlight, and you might not be exercise dudes who do not lift very much or engage in, say, combat sports, competitive sports and things. You might find that your testosterone is significantly lower than it should be for a healthy male. So I highly recommend every dude getting your free and total testosterone checked in estradiols and another thing you should probably also get checked is a thing called prolactin. Prolactin is the compound. Prolactin is produced in your brain.
Mm-hmm.
It is the compound. It is the brain chemical which causes the male refractory period. So the refractory period is basically the downtime between you being able to orgasm, right?
Huh.
That's called the refractory period. So it's okay, I have sex with my wife, boom. Now I need 30 minutes before I can get it going again and have sex again or whatever, right? That's called the refractory period. And that is dictated by this chemical called prolactin in your brain. And what can happen is some guys can have an overproduction of prolactin, and this actually impacts their sex drive. So and again, I talk about this in my book. Like there's certain supplements you can take which can naturally reduce the amount of prolactin in your brain and allow you to reduce that refractory period and actually increase your sex drive.
Okay. So I'm going to wrap this up here. Before we go, how do you guys find you on Twitter?
Cool. You guys can follow me. My Twitter is at Stirling Cooper X. Maybe I can. If I write it in a private chat, will that put it here?
Yeah. Sure, I'll copy it from there.
Cooper X. Boom. And my Twitter is safe for work. I don't put any X-rated material on that. I have a backup Twitter account for all that stuff. For my main one, I have it's totally PG. So you guys can go check that out, and not worry about seeing anything too graphic.
Can guys find your book and all that stuff and your material? In your there?
You can find that in the link to my book is in my Twitter bio. But if they want to go directly there, they go to gumroad.com/Stirling Cooper. There we go. Boom. That's you go to gumroad.com/Stirling Cooper, and that's where you can find my ebook. It is they're rather not so subtly titled "How I Grew My Penis and Other Porn Star Industry Secrets." Straight to the point, basically. That's something we didn't really talk about today, but that is also something I did before I got at the very beginning of my career. I was sort of like, shall we say, under par for my industry. So I actually had to go. I actually spent like 8 months increasing the length of it. So,
okay.
Actually, something guys can do. Most guys think that this is a complete myth because there is actually the reason I think it's a myth is there's a lot of fake advertising going around the internet that says take this pill and you can increase the size of your appendage. That's a total pile of crap. But there are actually exercises and things you can do to increase that. Yeah.
Awesome, sir. I much appreciate having you on. I hope we can do it again in the future.
Would love to.
Awesome. All right, guys. Follow him on Twitter. I have done that. I have followed him on the Twitter just now. And thanks for tuning in, guys. We're out.
Peace out.